Oh, you go away. Okay. Okay, hello. Two videos in one day, wow. So this afternoon was more with the weed whacker, the lawnmower, and the rake. And I had a nice Waldorf salad for lunch. Very healthy, but not that filling, and it is satisfying in a mental kind of way. But there's nothing like meat and potatoes, right? So that's what's for supper. Now this steak, I was talking to some friends at lunchtime there, went up and had a coffee. It's called a top blade steak. I asked the lady at the butcher for something that, a nice steak that was, had a lot of fat in it, like grasso fat. And this is what looked best. I think I've got to be more careful about when I visit the butcher because the Delmonicos and that sort of thing. I don't even know what they are in Italian. We're gone. So, steak, potatoes, and of course the obligatory vegetable. I think I've got some carrots and celery in the fridge. I might just cook up those carrots because I love caramelized carrots. But I was going to go with this corn, but now I'm having second thoughts. I should have thought about what I had in the fridge. Okay, let's check the status of those carrots, and I'll get back to you. But meantime, the steak's going to be done Pittsburgh rare. That term has a special meaning because it turns out it's exactly how Italians cook steak. And with the Italian immigration into Pittsburgh, I wouldn't be surprised if that method came along with it. Pittsburgh rare is the most rare way to cook steak. It's cold in the middle. It's just flash fried on the outside with maybe some spices or some pepper, flour. There's 1,000 things you can do to the outside a little bit. This steak, this top blade steak, is supposed to be marinated, so I'm a little skeptical. It comes from the chuck of the cow. I don't even know. The chuck's a big area here, above the front leg. So it might be a little tough, I don't know. We're going to find out on that. I don't mind a tough steak as long as it tastes good. Now the potatoes, I'm going to do in a way that's home style. Meaning you slice them and you cook them in oil with a little salt and pepper. And it doesn't have to be a fancy oil or anything like that. I'm going to use sunflower oil. But fried potatoes they're a definite comfort food, no question. And they're good. And they're good for you. So as long as you don't cook them in lard, which would be really tasty, but you gotta watch yourself. So I'm gonna cook them in sunflower oil. So I'm just gonna slice these about, in metric maybe 5 millimeters, which is less than 1/4 of an inch thick. Not super thin, nothing approaching potato chip thickness. But let's go ahead and that's it. I wash them, of course, ahead of time. I like to cook them with the skins because, I don't know, nothing wrong with the skins. They're nice and, I think, actually a lot of the vitamins are supposed to reside in the upper layers of potatoes. So, skins aren't bad. Anyway, I'll get these potatoes going and let's see how those carrots look in the fridge. Okay, well, the carrots look good. They keep really well in the fridge. And they're fresh, so I think that's better than the canned corn as far as, I don't know, general healthiness goes. Not that this is the most healthy dinner in the world, but not that it's the least either. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these carrots and then slice them up and try to cook them with the potatoes and let those flavors start to mix a little bit. The potatoes they don't take too long, and the carrots, if I cut them thin enough, won't take very long either. I might have to throw a little butter in there. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so while I was peeling the carrots here, the potatoes started to sizzle behind me. Now I'm just cutting these peeled carrots into nice pieces. What I like to do is, depending on the length of the carrot and all that stuff, just go like this, just quarter it up. In other words, I like to cut it in half again. Okay, so that's quartered. And then just cut those into nice bite-sized pieces. I take big bites, so I cut them a little bit big, I guess. It's not exactly what you do in a restaurant or something like that, or if you want to be impressive, but I don't know. I don't care about that stuff. So anyway, if you want to, I think what the main thing here is you don't want them to get too much bigger or smaller than the sizes of the potatoes you have. Otherwise, they'll cook too much, they'll cook faster or slower than the potatoes. So I'm just going to put them in there and let all these things, the potatoes and the carrots cook together. And, in the spirit of one pan. Now this is a funny carrot. It's crooked, which are weird to cut. So, that one I cut in half, and I'm going to cut it in half that way, bisect it first before I cut it lengthwise again. And that way it'll sort of get, more or less straight pieces. They're never going to be straight. Get them in there. So, okay. This is carrots, potatoes, in a little bit of sunflower oil. No seasonings yet. They'll probably get, I'm not sure how I'm going to season those. There's a lot of options. Salt and pepper is the classic, but a little bit of Lee and Perrins or some kind of a bouillon or something. Something with a little bit of salt in it, not too much. Maybe I will just stick with salt and pepper. Don't know. Meantime, I'm going to get the steak ready. And I'm going to flour it. I'm going to just do flour and pepper. Okay, so I put a little bit of flour in the bowl there. Probably more than I'll need. But who knows, later I might be able to use that, what's left over from this operation, coating the steak, and maybe use it to make some kind of a little bit of gravy, depending on what's left in the pan. Might put a little bit of wine or something in the pan and deglaze it, and make gravy or not. I don't know at this point. Just that's what I like about cooking is you can kind of make it up as you go. You follow some basic guidelines, I guess. But there's my flour and pepper. I'm just going to take the steak, and this is way premature to be doing this. But just coat it with flour and pepper, like that, And then this thing's going to get seared at a pretty high temperature in whatever is left here from the potatoes and onions cooking. And 1 minute on each side, which makes it pretty doggone rare. It just came out of the refrigerator, this steak, and it's cool. And that's what I want to keep. Cool in the center. And that grosses a lot of people out, but I've seen people eat raw ground pork here. in Italy because they are very, very careful about their meats. Okay, so that's all floured up now. I'm just going to leave that sit there until the potatoes and the carrots are ready. Okay, here's where we're at with the potatoes and carrots. Geez, this is enough for 2 people. But I'm hungry. And the carrots aren't going to hurt me at all. The potatoes, it's just 2 small potatoes. And my appetite, even though if my appetite accommodates that, which it will, it's going to be fine. So the idea here is just let the potatoes and the carrots brown. The carrots will caramelize and they'll be fantastic. And the potatoes, again, that's all they need. I'll put a little bit of salt in there because the potatoes do need a little bit of salt. I hate to salt the carrots. That's the one disadvantage of cooking them together like this. But you can see here a little bit of caramelization starting to happen on the carrots and a little bit of browning is going on in the potatoes. So at this point, it's just a matter of, keeping them moving so that we, try to get that all fairly consistent. It's a small pan for this amount, really. They should be cooked separately, but hey, I'm trying to keep it all in one pan. Okay, things are coming along very nicely here. Starting to get the potatoes browned and the carrots are browning. So they're cooking at the same time, but cooking them together was a mistake. Not a big mistake. This is probably going to be pretty good, but the reason I say it's a quote mistake, I need some air quotes there, is because I went outside here and got some fresh rosemary. Because when you're frying, it's a matter of taste. Carrots, rosemary is really, really good with carrots. I don't know why. I like rosemary, so maybe it's good with everything for me. I'm going to chop that up and start getting it incorporated there. Okay, I wish I thought of this rosemary before, because I would like for it to cook longer in there with the carrots in particular. But in particular, it is what it is. I'm kind of going with the flow here. So I'm just going to chop that up a little bit, not too doggone much, and when I put this in, I'm going to put in a little bit of olive oil with it, because the potatoes and carrots are almost done. And I think that's going to help to spread these flavors around nicely. It smells good. Okay, I declare these are done. So let's just put them on the plate here and cover them up with a paper towel here to keep them warm. And then the steak goes into this pan for a minute on each side. I should put a little oil in there. Okay, so I've added a little bit of oil there to let it cook in. Just going to get about a minute on each side. And it's also going to get a little bit of butter, because that little bit of flour that fell off the steak makes me think of something. That flour is actually incorporating very well with that oil. Which makes me think gravy. Okay, this gravy's going to happen. That was a pat of butter. I don't know, maybe a tablespoon of butter. Not too much. What's something like about steak fried in butter? And in just a second here, no, not just a second, about 30 more seconds, that steak's going to get flipped over and release more flour into that combination of oil and butter. And I'm going to somehow turn that into a gravy. Okay, and we're just about ready to flip here. Meantime, I need something green, so I pulled some pickles out of the fridge. So there's fried potatoes, carrots with rosemary, some nice pickles, and time to flip the steak. So here we go. Did you see all that flour that came off there? Okay. Let's That's good. This pan should be considerably hotter because that's not as black and brown as I want it to be. Flour crisped up nicely. Now I'll just stir that all around, keep it moving, because the butter and the flour need to incorporate and form a roux. Okay, so that's a unique way to stir up a roux. But yeah, now I have to think here how to finish this gravy. Got my roux. All I really need here is a little bit of, you could probably use water. Although wine would be better. Okay, I think a little bit of wine and a little bit of good old lean parents. Okay, that steak is done. Let's get the plate over here in the vicinity. Excuse me while I move some things out of the way there. Pickle, go back where you belong. Okay, so the steak is done. Okay. So far so good. Now, a little bit of, in this case it's going to be a Chianti by Piccini. Chianti Reserva. This is a nice wine from up in Tuscany. It's Piccini. And so let's cook that down a little bit. Oh, that thickened up so nicely. Maybe a little bit more. Just a little bit there. And that's a gravy right there. Boom. Even no stirring. All I had to do was use the meat to make this gravy. Now that's definitely going to call for a little bit of salt and pepper. So let's go ahead and give it a little bit of salt and pepper. I should have probably turned the heat down before I got that going. Let's turn the heat off. Give it a little bit of a stir. Okay. That's the gravy. And that gravy is going to go on. It's going to go on the potatoes and the carrots. It's red, as it should be, because if I've been watching my times, this steak should be nice and red in the middle. Okay, the moment of truth. I took a bite from the potatoes and carrots, and they're fantastic. A little bit of crispiness going on here, but the potatoes are nice and soft in the middle and with like crispy edges on them. Really good. And the gravy came out really well, even though, it was pretty straightforward. But here's the moment of truth. I expect the steak to be blood red. I'm not even going to look at it, I'm going to just show it to you first. Here we go. I guess I could look at the monitor there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's a little too pink. Not red enough for me. I think I maybe left it on a little bit too long. But, cool in the middle? Yeah. No, not really cool. The steak needs to be thicker for that. Now this steak is top blade steak. It's got a good taste. But it wasn't quite fatty or tender enough. New York strips are good, Delmonico's and all that stuff. It's not bad. But top blade steak, I don't know. I got to the butcher late. What can I say? And that's what happens. You know, they get in a half a cow or beef in the morning. They start to work, cut it up. Every day they get in a new cow. And these Umbrian cows are good. But, I'm going to check this out. I'll bet you that if I go there when the butcher opens, first thing in the morning, there's going to be a line. And that's where the Delmonico's went, and the New York strips. So this top blade's not bad. And, the steak and potatoes, I worked pretty hard. Did I say potatoes or potatoes? I know I didn't say potatoes. That's a curious local thing from where I'm from. Anyway, is it Italian, this dinner? Everything was grown in Italy. But is it Italian? Do they make it this way? I don't know. This is the way they do make steaks. As far as the potatoes and carrots go, I don't know. They have so many ways of everything, making everything. And potatoes are a giant, never-ending mystery of how do they make potatoes. So that's to be solved at some future date. And I guess that's it. I'm going to eat dinner. Have a good evening. Enjoy. And bon appetit.